Most War Thunder tutorials assume you have an advantage, whether that be altitude, more energy, or a stronger position. But in real games, you often find yourself being the one getting outgunned, outpositioned, and outmatched instead. So how do you recover from a fight when things have already gone wrong? In this video, I'll be teaching you what to do in these situations and how to save yourself. But before that, you should know some crucial things beforehand. Defensive flying is pointless if you don't know where the enemy is. Pitch keybinds solve this problem by letting you maneuver while keeping your eyes on the enemy. These keybinds can be set in controls, aircraft, movement, and pitch axis. I personally have these bound to Z and X, but you can bind these to whatever keys you'd like. They can also help you fight against overg. When your pilot is about to pass out, you can tap your pitch down keybind for about 1 second. This will reset your pilot's G load and let you recover from a hard pull. With that being said, let's move on to the next chapter. Most lost fights start when an enemy has an altitude advantage and is diving on you. Beginners often make mistakes here, such as climbing towards them and stalling out, or outright ignoring them. But before we get into surviving, we should try preventing these situations from happening in the first place. We can do this by climbing higher at the start of the game so that you gain more altitude for when the fighting happens. But if you still find yourself at an altitude disadvantage, do these things to ensure that you stay alive. Since they're diving from a higher altitude, they'll naturally gain more speed than you will, and are very vulnerable to an overshoot. So, push your throttle to 0% and set them up for one. When they get close enough to shoot at you, roll so that your aircraft is upside down from their aircraft's perspective. By doing this, when you pull up and maneuver, they will either be forced to roll and pull up, costing them precious time, or enduring negative Gs, which are much stronger than regular Gs. But if you're at low altitude, dive down to the ground below the enemy. Make sure you're directly below them by making sure their aircraft and your aircraft are on the exact same position on the minimap. If they commit to the dive, their angle will make it much more difficult to aim, and if they overcommit to the dive, they risk smashing into terrain like this Zero did. Great, so you know what to do when an enemy is above you, but what do you do when an enemy has already planted himself on your 6? If an enemy is on your 6, the first thing you should do is leave the fight entirely. If the enemy is away from firing range and slower than you, push your throttle to 110% and extend away, preferably toward your airfield with AA or teammates. While extending, keep your eyes on the enemy and evade their shots with the pitch keybinds that you assigned earlier. Once you've extended far enough away, typically around 3 kilometers, turn around and engage in a much more fair head-on. But what if they're catching up to you? This is where the dogfight truly starts. Dogfighting is a skill that mostly comes down to experience and intuition. However, there are things you can do to put yourself at a stronger position before the dogfight, and I'll be teaching you how. What I usually do first is turn around so that my wingtip is pointing at them. This makes it so that they have to do a lot more guesswork on where to lead compared to just accounting for bullet drop if you were directly in front of them. Once I do this, I wait until they get into firing range, which is usually around 600 meters or less, and pull up and towards them. Once you've evaded their first shots, quickly turn back towards them to engage in the dogfight. By then, you're gonna have a much stronger position than if you simply let them slowly catch up to you. No matter how good of a pilot you are, you'll eventually end up below someone or with an enemy on your 6. Defensive flying isn't just about how to win fights, it's about knowing how to survive when things go wrong. And with that being said, thank you for watching.